The arena floor trembled as Vexthor the Unbreakable raised his forearms in victory. The Croatian champion stood 3 meters tall, his obsidian exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh lights of the contested rings. Around him, thousands of alien spectators from dozens of species erupted in a cacophony of cheers, clicking mandibles and resonating throat sacs. At his feet lay the human. The creature called Marcus Chen had stopped moving 2 full cycles ago. Its small, fragile body was crumpled against the energy barrier, one arm bent at an angle that even the medically ignorant could recognize as wrong. Blood, that strange red fluid, pooled beneath its head. The match officials were already approaching, their scanning devices ready to confirm what everyone could see. The human experiment had failed. For 3 standard months, the Galactic Combat Federation had promoted this match with unprecedented fervor. A human, they claimed, would challenge for the middleweight championship. The announcement had been met with everything from confused chirping to outright laughter across civilized space. Humans were the galaxy's newest species, barely a decade into interstellar travel. They were small, averaging only 1.8 meters. They had no natural armor, no venom, no redundant organs. They were by every metric physically unremarkable. Yet the Federation insisted, and Marcus Chen had somehow won his preliminary matches. Most observers attributed this to luck and the incompetence of his early opponents. Surely, they reasoned, Vexthor would remind the galaxy of the natural order. The Croatian had done exactly that. For 20 brutal minutes, he had demonstrated the vast gulf between apex predators and pretenders. He had broken the human's arm in the 3rd minute. Cracked ribs followed. A concussion. Internal bleeding. Each time the human fell, the crowd anticipated surrender. Each time, impossibly, the human had risen. Until now. Medical team to the floor. The announcer's translation matrix broadcast. The match is concluded. Victory to Vexthor the... A sound interrupted the announcement. Quiet at first, easily missed beneath the crowd noise. But it grew, amplified by the arena's acoustic systems designed to capture every grunt and impact. Laughter. The human was laughing. Marcus Chen's body shook with it, his broken form convulsing in a way that made several species in attendance recoil in horror. Was this a death spasm? Some kind of neural shutdown? Then he moved. The human's good arm pressed against the blood-slicked floor. His legs, which had appeared shattered, shifted beneath him. Slowly, impossibly, Marcus Chen began to stand. Vexthor's victory roar died in his throat. His primary eyes widened as the human rose to his full, modest height. Blood ran freely from a gash above the human's eye, but beneath it his face was split in a grin that showed far too many teeth. "Is that it?" Marcus wheezed, his words translated and broadcast across the silent arena. He swayed, clearly concussed, but his eyes focused on the Croatian with disturbing clarity. "Big guy, I've had worse sparring sessions back home." This wasn't bravado or delusion. The medical scanners confirmed the horrifying truth. The human was conscious, aware, and somehow still capable of fighting despite injuries that would have killed or incapacitated most species. His broken arm hung useless, but his other hand curled into a fist. "Humans," Marcus continued, laughing through what had to be excruciating pain. "We're not the strongest. We're not the fastest." He took a stumbling step forward, and Vexthor, champion of 3 systems, actually stepped back. "But we're stubborn. We evolved running prey to exhaustion on a death world. We hunted animals that should have killed us by simply refusing to stop." The human spat blood onto the arena floor. "We don't have armor because we learned to make it. We don't have claws because we invented better weapons. And we don't quit," his grin widened impossibly, "because evolution taught us that the creature that keeps coming, despite everything, despite logic, despite pain, that's the creature that survives." Vexthor had fought hundreds of opponents. He had broken bones, torn flesh, and dominated every challenger. But he had never faced something that smiled at damage, that laughed at pain, that stood when it should be dead. For the first time in his career, the Unbreakable felt something he didn't have a word for in his language. Later, a human psychologist would explain the concept to him. It was called fear, Marcus charged. What followed wasn't elegant. The human had one functional arm and legs that barely worked. But what he lacked in capability, he compensated for with absolute terrifying determination. He slipped Vexthor's strikes with movements that should have been impossible for someone with a concussion. He endured hits that should have ended the fight. And when he found openings, He struck with vicious precision at joints, nerve clusters, and vulnerable points he had studied for months. The crowd watched in stunned silence as the impossible unfolded. The human, broken and bleeding, was winning not through superiority, but through sheer refusal to accept defeat. 15 minutes later, Vexithor the Unbreakable lay unconscious on the arena floor, felled by exhaustion and accumulated damage from an opponent who simply would not stop. Marcus Chen stood over him, swaying dangerously, his face a mask of blood and that unsettling grin. As the referee raised his working arm in victory, he looked up at the thousands of alien faces staring in shock. "That's why you don't count humans out," he said, then promptly collapsed. The medical team rushed in, scanners confirming what would become legend across the galaxy. The human had fought the last 10 minutes with a punctured lung, 2 broken legs, 7 fractured ribs, and a concussion that would have left most species comatose. As they carried Marcus Chen from the arena, a new phrase entered Galactic Common, whispered with equal parts respect and terror: human endurance. It would become synonymous with the disturbing reality that humanity had introduced to the galaxy. Some species couldn't be beaten because they simply refused to understand that they had lost. In hospital rooms and training facilities across civilized space, fighters of 100 species watched the footage and learned a fundamental truth: never assume a human is defeated. Because even broken, bleeding, and laughing at their own destruction, they might just stand up for one more round. And that might be the round they win.